Good afternoon, everyone. This is the first session. I'm the moderator of this session. My name is HORI. This session is entitled Beyond Coronavirus by Fintech. We'll be discussing in the era of after and beyond the corona, what are going to take place in the area of fintech and what is the future vision of fintech. I'm a lawyer, a partner lawyer of Mori, Hamada, Matsumoto, and I am in charge of settlement, remittance, asset management, and finance digital transformation, supporting clients in the area of fintech. Since 2015, I have been a board member of Fintech Association, engaged with fintech community activities.
Now, I would like to ask each panelist to introduce themselves, and I'd like to have discussion later on with all the panelists. The first panelist is Mr. FUJII from au Financial Holdings. Good afternoon. I am CDO of au Financial Holdings. Can you show your slide? Or is everyone seeing it? I don't know. I can't see it, but Fuji-san, please go ahead. So once again, I am FUJII. I used to work for a foreign company, but in 2013, I joined MUFG. And I was a leader of a project for digital accelerator, open banking, and others, and MUFG coin. And I am at KDDI 100% subsidiary, KDDI au Financial. I am in charge of developing fintech-related products. The second panelist is from Ibank, Mr. Nagayoshi. I am Ibank Marketing Representative Director and President. My name is Nagayoshi. Ibank Marketing is a company which is based in Fukuoka, which is a fintech venture company. And the Fukuoka Financial Group or Fukuoka Bank, I am an employee of that bank, so I have two hats to wear. This company, Ibank Marketing, was established in 2014, or the constellation started, and then 2015 was called the first year of fintech, and that was the year I founded this company. OLED app, you may be familiar with such app, so you may be familiar with our company in Fukuoka, and we are planning that product at Ibank Marketing. And this is not open yet, but new digital bank, which is going to be called Minna no Ginko, we are preparing for the establishment of this bank, which is going to be a surprise financial services from Fukuoka to surprise the entire Japan. I would have liked to come to the venue in Fukuoka, but I needed to go to Tohoku. So I am in a working space of a certain prefecture in the Tohoku region. So this is quite chaotic already, but anyway, very nice to meet you all. Thank you very much for your introduction. Now, the third panelist of today is Mr. TORII from Angel Funding. Hello, everyone. Universal Bank is now renamed as of November 1st, Angel Funding. And I am the representative director of this company, Angel Funding. My name is TORII. Very nice to meet you. Back in 2012, Kyushu in Beppu, Oita Prefecture, there is a university called Ritsumeikan AP University, and I graduated from that company. And I was, for the next 3 years, venture capitalist at East Ventures. And in 2015, which is 5 years ago, I started a company called Universal Bank, which is now renamed as Angel Funding. So it's a crowdfunding company on the internet. Those startup companies can collect money from the crowd, from many people. And we support such crowdfunding. So as a fintech venture company, I am here to make my contribution to the discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So you have a very different background and walks of life. So we would like to have a discussion on the theme of fintech. Against the backdrop of COVID-19, online or digital transformation is taking place. So given this corona pandemic, what do you do in the area of fintech? About your company as well as in the area of business, what are your immediate impression of this time with regard to fintech? Fujii-san, can you begin? So this corona pandemic, I think the internet has been the area which has been very much affected. At au Financial, where I work, in spring there was a lockdown of the country, and in terms of acquisition of new members for credit cards and also digitalization, of course those numbers have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic, and also mortgage by banks. And some of the housing exhibitions locations have been closed, so that affected the purchase of new houses. And we are a KDDI group, so in au shops, in terms of a contract of mobile phones or changing of the handsets or making cars and also mortgages, we are selling these things. And the number of customers coming to au shops declined. Therefore, our business was affected. But after the lockdown was lifted, of course, as you may be feeling, people are coming back to purchase things. And now we have a repercussion, which is a positive repercussion. And in terms of the business, there is share price volatility, and that is now very high. And we have a very good commission revenue. So that is the current situation for our business. All in all, for au Financial Holdings Group, financial channels are already online. So financial institutions which are on the offline basis, I think compared to those conventional financial services, we have been less damaged by the coronavirus pandemic. But now we are seeing the increasing number of infectious cases. If there will be a lockdown once again imposed, then there will be some companies which may go bankrupt. And then with the declining salary, of course, people will spend less. And therefore, if that happens, probably settlement and also mortgage, housing mortgage, such financial services may be affected once again quite significantly. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. So face-to-face channels that are very much affected because of the limitation of mobility. And on the other hand, online settlements are increasing, and also e-commerce malls are quite flourishing right now. What about you, Nagayoshi-san? From the banking perspective, what is the current situation for the industry, whether it's online or offline? What is the current situation for you? How do you view the situation right now? As I said, I am a bank employee, and I'm also a fintech venture. And as for the bank, Fukuoka Financial Group of Fukuoka Bank, FUJII-san's bank has been based on the internet, therefore it's not been affected so much according to FUJII-san. But then we have real channels and we have branches, and the number of customers coming to the banks have really been reduced so much in the past 6 months or 1 year.
And people, those who come to the banking, over the last 10 years, actually customer traffic reduced by 10% or 30%. But once again, 10 to 15% reduction was observed since spring this year. So we have fewer traffic to the banking stores, storefronts. Therefore, now we have video chat based on asset management consultations. So our group introduced these online channels to provide various services. Although the face-to-face consultation and services decreased, now we have online-based consultation services to our customers. And Orat Plus, this is an iBanking service. This is a mobile phone-based banking service. And here we don't see any impact. So it has a customer in their 20s and 40s who have a high affinity to digital technology. So we don't see any impact because they are accustomed to digital-based financial services. Therefore, we don't see any impact from coronavirus to the digital services. In our banking company, we have both online and offline service, and it's very important for us to hit the right balance between these two channels, offline and online. And also, Ibank Marketing, we have an online service as well. In Kyushu, in around Golden Week and Arita and Asami, they are big exhibition, attract 3 million people to locality like Arita, but those events were cancelled. Therefore, they have lost revenue because these exhibitions are cancelled due to coronavirus. That's why we organize a digital-based exhibition for pottery, Arita pottery, that was widely accepted and well received, and that's actually contributed to the revenue to the pottery makers. And it's because online-based exhibition, they don't need to come over to Kyushu. So people in Kanto areas and Kansai area joined this event and they bought potteries from this exhibition. So this is another change we observed. Thank you very much. So although they can't come over to Arita or Kyushu, well, they can join event, online event. So you can attract customers across border as well, right? That's right. And however, your customers who come to the physical stores, banking storefront, decrease, right? So, well, what is the situation about their sensitivity to cash? Well, actually, they don't basically want to contact with other people. That's why they don't come to the physical store. Or maybe they don't want to touch the physical currency, could be, in order to avoid infection. Mr. FUJII, do you know anything about the situation outside of Japan about physical currency? Well, so just give you an overview of banking industry around the world. Banking is very a critical business, and due to the coronavirus, now the services are being provided digitally and remotely. And looking outside of Japan, well, some of other countries have a strict restriction, including lockdowns. Therefore, faster than Japan, they prepared online environment so that they can provide online-based operation services. So they were faster in taking action compared to Japan. So that is how I see. On the other day, I joined an event in Hong Kong. So city Hong Kong, there's one case about city Hong Kong. Now still 90% of the staff members work remotely, and 85% of transactions is online based. And also account opening, about 50% of account opening is being done online, and also card business, credit card business, 40% is online. So also smartphone settlement and non-touch based settlement are increasing. And video banking is also being accepted well by customers. They say 60% increase in such service. So coronavirus has made a huge impact on customer behaviors. So in order to deal with such a demand, they prepare system and environment very fast. And Europe also situation is very dire. For example, in the UK, major bank of the UK's now introduce video chat to provide consultations and other services. And also in Spain, a major bank, BBVA, Santander, so those are major banks, they decided to close 50% of stores according to their announcement. So they're shifting from existing channel to online channels. So that is what is happening in banking industry as a whole. And this is not just a short-term or temporary measure. They're doing this as a permanent measures. And that is much more noticeable outside Japan. Thank you very much. So you talk about settlement and banking service and in comparison between Japan and others. So thank you very much for explaining how they are different. Now, Mr. FUJII, as a startup company, I believe there's some impact on the startup environment as well. So would you please share with us how do you see the change taking place on startup as well? Thank you very much. The venture, I'm engaged in fintech venture, and basically my friend doing an internet-based ventures. So offline purchasing behavior is now being replaced by online purchasing behavior. So depending on nature of business, some players have some difficulty, but many players basically provide services online. Therefore, for them, this is a great opportunity to grow their business. And also online, the communication of people itself is changing a lot. For example, this time I am speaking on this event. I am speaking from Hamada of Tokyo. And this is an event organized by Fukuoka. And actually, I can speak with people in Fukuoka or people also outside of Japan. So without coronavirus, I don't think I was able to join this kind of event through digital platform. And Fukuoka Morozumi Ventures, they make an investment into our company, and our company has a background in Kyushu. Therefore, I want to contribute back to Kyushu. But thanks to the online platform like this one, so I am enjoying this event. So in terms of communications, I see a change, and also the way to contribute to the business is also changing because of coronavirus. Thank you very much. So in such a situation, though some say that there are greater opportunities compared to before. So in fintech, what are the challenges that do you face right now due to the coronavirus? For example, Nagayoshi-san, do you have anything that you can share with us about the challenges that you face due to the coronavirus? So in fintech business, purely it is difficult to connect to the physical banking services nowadays. So I believe fintech is also growing due to the coronavirus. So using financial functions, so ventures will create new business. So coronavirus is actually a positive and there's a positive impact. So API and online banking, and so fintech has already it's growing, and then coronavirus actually pushed fintech forward. So now when you just move around money, like loan lendings or money lendings, and now we are forced to deal with those services online. So there was such an environmental factor that we forced to change. So whether you deal it with the existing banking service or you just introduce fintech, I believe introducing fintech business is faster. So therefore, whether you just start up a new fintech venture, or you create a new business in the existing banking companies, and I think we are now at tipping point. So with the changes on the behavior, rise of fintech is a financial industry. So financial services is there to move money to support the real business. So if you move to the offline, there may be more opportunities.
For banks also, it's high time for them, and they have to make moves to advance. For fintech startups, this is also an opportunity. It's a major opportunity. FUJII-san, you're a financial agency or institution, so you are providing services like mobile phone services and others. Is this situation an opportunity for you? Well, the current situation, whether we should take it as an opportunity or not. For instance, in the case of au, we have the customer base, and to make customers purchase financial services and products, that is a way of growth. But how to convert these customers in an efficient manner with this small screen, that is the key. That holds the key. And those mobile phone carriers, we have Hoop apps which can provide one-stop services. And I think this format of service is very resilient against coronavirus. So if there would be a lockdown again, being at home, people can still do things. But if they have to switch screens and switch apps, that's quite cumbersome. But if it's one-stop service, that would be a very good user experience. That holds a key. That's very important. And our app's approach, I think that fits the time or the needs of the time. But as Mr. Nagayoshi said, against the backdrop of the coronavirus pandemic, mega financial institutions or other companies also included, those mega institutions are trying to enhance their online capabilities, and other local companies, they are trying to think about how to secure a profit after the coronavirus pandemic, and they are trying to go into the financial industry, and that can trigger creation of new services. So non-financial companies are also going into the financial services industry. So whether this is an opportunity or not, I think it depends. But then if they are speedy to get this opportunity, they will be able to grow. But also the competition is going to become more fierce. So it all depends. So regulations and also customs. Going beyond that, non-financial institutions are going to take on this challenge. That would be the new environment that is emerging against the backdrop of the coronavirus pandemic. TORII-san, what about the crowdfunding? Do you see any challenges? Well, in the crowdfunding also, we take this as an communicating with venture capitalists face to face to get investment. But now online funding is possible, and startups are going online to raise fund. And also investors, they have become aware that they can even make an investment decision online. And against this corona pandemic, such activities are becoming more and more popular. Yeah, that's true. In terms of finance and financing and settlements, there have been those different segments, and financial activities have been divided into different segments. But as Nagayoshi-san said, for instance, a local company would like to support local startups, or people would like to buy locally produced things, and then on the extension of that, crowdfunding is possible. As FUJII-san said, with just one app, they can move from one financial activity to another financial activity. So the change of the value and also the change of behavior, these are taking place at the same time. Kyushu as one location. Are there any particular challenges there? TORII-san, you spent your time in Kyushu as a student, right? Are there any particular business areas where you can particularly consider raising fund or supporting businesses? Well, it's probably not Kyushu specific, but well, I think yes, people starting up businesses in Kyushu can go global. Through the internet, everyone can have access to products. That is the environment we live in. And also Kyushu, and especially Fukuoka City, there is so much support for startups. So businesses starting from Fukuoka City going global, I think that can become a trend. So crowdfunding to make investment from the finance perspective as well as from the consultant or giving advice perspective, we would like to support such challenges. TORII-san's company's mission is to support challengers, right? What about particular regulations and customers, which can be a bottleneck going forward? Have you identified any challenges or bottlenecks, Nagayoshi-san, in terms of regulations or certain customers, business customers, that is? Well, deregulation is an ongoing thing in the financial service or industry. And as a bank employee, deregulation for banks is a deregulation for bank users and not for banks themselves. That's why the fintech players with the Payment Services Act deregulation are emerging. And then existing banks have been attacked with those changes. But there may be deregulation for banks themselves. There may be some advancement there in terms of the deregulation. Why is it that AU can do banking and banks cannot do AU? So of course this is a major thing, so it may not be easy. But deregulation of the banking sector for banks in favor of banks, that can provide some opportunities. And right now, 100% ownership may be possible. This is a new wave for the banking sector, opportunities for new business. I think they are emerging. The regulation or deregulation in the Financial Services Agency, this is making it easier for banks to work together with operators. AP1I is one thing, and also the intermediary law reform either it's insurance and also financial products and etc. They can all be transacted online. So if there will be more partnership between the banking sector with other sectors, probably you can create new value that could have not been created by the banking sector alone. Yes, that's true. This can be an opportunity or this can be a threat because of the heightened competition. But in any case, that the banking industry needs to be offensive as well, not just being defensive. We have to take on the challenges going forward. We have to be proactive as the banking sector. I talked to different people, but Western Japan and Kyushu, people say that we are very speedy in Western Japan and in Kyushu. That is a compliment. I take it as a compliment. And then Fukuoka can be one such place, so we can communicate to the rest of Japan so that the rest of Japan can follow us. So that is a kind of challenge we are taking on. So Fujii-san, either inbound or outbound, either way, at this juncture, are there any positive, negative factors there? And what kind of measures you can consider in order to overcome those challenges?
So whether inbound and outbound, especially talking about inbound, we don't have any inbound tourists physically because of coronavirus. Therefore, we cannot rely on tourists anymore. So that is the current situation. But at one point, so whether it's an export or import, so e-commerce and also settlement. So this is an area so we can have some business opportunities. So attract the customers from outside Japan or introducing Japanese customers to overseas e-commerce. So from this perspective, in both channel and contents, we must be creative to connect between Japan and outside of Japan. So this is not really a financial business area. It's more like the real business area. But that is something that we can identify opportunities going forward. So when it comes to finance, so when new times comes, the finance must be able to adapt to it, satisfying changing demand of consumers. So financial service must be flexible enough. Therefore, after Corona, how customer journey will change. First, we have to define how the customer journey changes after coronavirus, so that they are ready to respond to changing customer demand. And also cashless stores. Nowadays, some banking companies introducing cashless stores. That, I think, is a good idea, and it can satisfy some needs of the customers. But simply providing cashless stores is just a part of the customer journey. Doesn't really cover entire customer journey. And for example, online. So only when necessary, customer come to the stores. Otherwise, they just use financial services offline. Therefore, you must have both an online and offline services. And I believe this will change the nature of the banking stores. And also operating hours of banks are being strictly regulated. But thinking about the customer journey after coronavirus, we must look at the current regulation once again. I think we have to change the regulation itself to meet the new demands of customers after coronavirus. Therefore, I believe that financial industry itself must approach to the government in that sense. So now you have a variety of channels, right? Especially going forward, you will have a different channels. You have to provide a different channels. That's why our banking, we don't have paper-based operation anymore. More or less, we just use a tablet for our transactions. So Corona is just one trigger, but I was so surprised. Just in a short period of time, the society has dramatically changed. So it has a great impact on our business. But after Corona, whether we go back to what we used to be, I don't think so. So how we can adapt to such great change in a speedy manner. So this is about the banking operations and how we provide the services both on online and offline. We must be flexible to be adaptive to changing environment, satisfying customer needs. Otherwise, if there will be another great incident take place in the future that we cannot deal with it, therefore we must have a readiness in place to be flexible enough. So Mr. FUJII, so after Corona, so just looking beyond Corona, what do you think that the values that financial services can provide? Thank you very much for your question. After coronavirus, well, that this is just a continuation of what is happening. So online, the replacement by online. Among the entrepreneurs, there's a discussion, there are no more new ideas. But actually, I think there are more opportunities on the online replacement. There are still things that can be replaced by online service. I think many entrepreneurs are viewing this session. So this is something I just ask them to look for the new ideas where you can replace with online service. There's still a lot of opportunities. Is that right? Yes, exactly. I think so. So not simply digitizing what is existing right now. I think you can create something new. Like Mr. FUJII said, customer journey will change dramatically. Therefore, new services will be required with that changing customer journey. So FUJII-san, Mr. FUJII, and the new value, do you think there are any specific new values in this time of was thinking about new values, whether this is Corona or without Corona, and you have to understand the customer well, and you have to provide services that can be easily used by customers. So when their behavior changes, for example, the bank, that you don't need to ask customer to come to your storefront anymore. And also, now there are many services available online. And therefore, that the speed is very important to provide a solution. So this is also taking place in the financial services as well. You have to quickly respond to the customers' demand and providing solution to customers. Here, digital technology plays a key role, and you must always provide offerings which fit in for the time. So in like digital banking and those evolution will be required all the time. Thank you very much. So there was a mentioning of digital bank. So Mr. Nagayoshi, do you have anything that you can add in the digital banking sector? Thank you. Right, as a digital bank, we are trying to we are in the preparation of establishing a digital bank. And this will be launched in the beginning of next year, I believe. So So this bank is called Everyone's Bank. And so everyone include business and individual. So we wish to make a bank that is very friendly to everyone. So with this new technology and also not so many restrictions, we want to provide many functions and services without much restrictions to our customers. So please don't miss it. Thank you very much. So listening to your experience and also your current activity, I learned a lot. And there will be other sessions after these sessions. They are talking about different business sectors as well. But thank you very much for joining this session. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much, all the speakers. There will be a networking space, and you can have the online networking sessions with speakers as well. So please join our networking page with the URL that's shown on the screen. Thank you very much.